Still no sound? Yeah, we can hear. You can hear me now, right? Just 1 second. Let me plug the mic in. And again, guys, sorry about that. It was just, it's crazy how it just, technology nowadays. All right, so we're back. Again, we're just running a little late. We'll still continue on, same time frame. Again, it's a fantastic opportunity for us to really start December. And it's not just a normal December. It's, it's 2020 December. We've had a lot of changes this year for sure. And some of us, might have been devastating and so on like that, but that's all the crap and all the garbage. So it's a great opportunity for us to really say, go forward and we'll get rid of the garbage that nature every year cleans out, but we haven't cleaned out in since the beginning of dawn, since the beginning of the dawn of man. So that's why it's a major cleanup for humanity, okay? Which is fantastic. So and this first half on Moss on Sundays is where I analyze you. I see what's happening for you. I see what's happening for you, and then help you change it. Simple as that. So as a note, and because of today's society, we're not as, say, brilliant as we should be at the higher levels of consciousness. I have to read the statement. So this is Sajady with Exponential Intelligence on Sunday, December 6th, 2020. I'll be doing frequency analysis in which I can read your frequency signature and tell you what I see. This is completely voluntary on your part. As a reminder, if you ask to be scanned today, you're automatically agreeing that we may use your sessions in written, audio, and video form or any public media for commercial purpose, help inspire others. So remember, if you don't want us to use and share your information, don't ask to be scanned. And all contents of Moss on Sunday is copyrighted, so you cannot use it for any other purpose without written permission. All right. And again, that's today's society that we live in at a higher level of consciousness. That just, we would all have that honor. If you're asked to be scanned, obviously you wouldn't have anything to hide or anything like that, because at those higher levels of consciousness, it's pretty much transparent. Unfortunately, in this level, in this lower level of consciousness, we use transparency to, say, control others. In the higher level of consciousness, where I exist from, and many of you are coming into, we don't. We use that transparency and see your weaknesses and so on to help you ascend higher. So that's the difference. For example, I know everything about you. I know more about you than Facebook, Google, the government, your mother combined. And I don't use it to abuse or distort you or control you or coerce you into anything like that. I just see the weaknesses, and then it's like, hey, brother, let's let me give you a hand to take you higher. It's simple. And then the thing about that, I guess, is people always they try to be nice, right? They want to be nice. They'll reach out your hand to that person and all that, but at a deep consciousness level, they don't want the best for you. You'll start to see that in your families, by the way, and that's why I'm telling you this. When you start to really ascend higher from, the 18 days that we're doing and all that, you ascend higher, you get better, you go back to your families, during Christmas. Some of you, they might tear you down. They go, what the hell, what the hell, why are you so much better and so on like that. So that's why I say that. Again, they're not really there. For most people, I'm not saying all. So in this session, again, I analyze you, and if you're on asking to be scanned, I'll scan you, and if you don't want to, then don't ask to be scanned. You can just listen in and enjoy the frequencies. Okay? And then next is Brilliant Minds, coming up in about, say, half an hour, and we go into the deep science on how you can use what they did to become brilliant, and then how you can use, say, the same tactics. So this one's from Lynn K. Morning Moss. Can you please help? Can you please help both my daughter and me? We truly appreciate your providing this forum for free. You're so welcome, Lynn. And yeah, so the both of you, again, really transforming, really transitioning. Both of you run from a pattern of playing victim. And again, I'm not blaming you or anything like that, but you have a pattern, and it's not your pattern. It's not your daughter's pattern. Just the way you inherited. Okay, you inherited from your mom and so on. You've given that to your daughter. So now, whatever that you've done with me, you've awoken. It's like, shit, I don't want to play victim anymore. I don't want to play small anymore. So the both of you are waking up. You waking up a little faster than your daughter. Your daughter feels a little scared, so she's looking for your guidance. So at the stage that you're in, sometimes we have to push beyond, say, the comfort level, right? Push beyond, the boundaries. So that's what's going to be happening for you, and really helping you understand that you have what it takes to go forward. Okay, no matter what anybody else has said in the past, you have what it takes to go forward now. So all you have to do is practice a little. So again, after this session, what I'm doing is helping you come into new experiences where you're going to get forced, literally forced. So take advantage of that. It's a good thing for you, where you have to speak up. You have to say something. You have to, speak your thoughts, or give a suggestion that you never do. And then once you do, there's a beautiful crow actually coming, actually a couple birds hanging out with me now. That's interesting. Anyway, back to you. So those situations, again, since you want to be out there, right? You have to be out there. So when those situations come out, take advantage of that. Okay. And as you do, you find that, hey, this isn't bad. I should have done this, 20 years ago. And that's where that confidence starts to come up. So I can help you change your frequencies, guys. You have to, say, again, confirm those deletions of your old past by stepping into your new self and taking advantage of it. So really nice job, Kate, by the way. We'll go into Instagram. This one, Light Spirit 789. Just let me turn this up. Light Spirit 789. How will it work with 18 days of every other month? Help me expand to be able to handle this. Thanks. So the 18 days we're going to do every other month. We'll have a information meeting on that. So don't worry about that. It's going to be a lot better though, especially because it's so intense for people. Right now, we've decided to do it every other month, but we'll talk about that. For now, we'll take people. This one says, Lisa B1212. How do I move forward? I've been working with you for years. Actually, Lisa, and that's why I want to pick this. Because most people, pick the cream of the crop. Most motivators and so on like that. Again, I picked these. So you're in that small category, smaller, like say 5%, that, there's always something holding you back if you look at it. And again, it's not exponential intelligence. It's not me. It's literally that programming that's holding you back. And you're not seeing that programming, although throughout the years, because you think that's your identity. That's a deep identity. And I think the reason why I picked you is because you're at that breaking level. So again, so if you're controlling and fear, if that runs within your system, okay? Or some of you go, well, I'm not fearful. I'm just, I just want to make sure everything's right. Well, you're fearful because you don't trust in your higher self. So anyway, for you, what's happening is that you're going to get really, really frustrated probably after this mini session here, which means that you're going to see actually what's been holding you back for years. And then once you see that, it's like, shit, I'm not taking this anymore, because you're at that level. You've seen a lot of changes throughout the years, by the way. You've gotten stronger, more, say, focused. A lot of things have changed, but it's that last piece that's something that's just holding you back. Whether it's, say, it's a relationship, you get into relationships and you can feel that person like holding you back, right? So that pattern in itself is disconnecting. And once you disconnect from that pattern, you'll go forward really fast. So congratulations on that. Really nice job. For those people who, again, take a little longer than maybe a day or a couple months or all that to change, many of you will actually start to see the changes just being on this call, by the way. Once you break from that pattern, things fall into place really fast for you. So, okay. So nice job hanging in there. And again, those things are, with exponential intelligence, it's, some of you might go through, say, a lot of distortions or, a lot of indecision, confusion, pain, whatever it might be. That's not exponential intelligence. That's not me. That's basically all the garbage that you've carried into your life at the current moment that has to, say, get removed before you start, say, applying exponential intelligence. So we'll go over to, I'll just pick someone here. This is, hi Moss, I really feel like I'm coming into my worth, but there are blind spots. Please, can you scan my signature? Yes, P.S. Thank you for everything you are. Thank you so much. And you guys as well. So yeah, so for you, you're starting to see the details within the details, which is really fantastic. It allows you to, say, hone yourself even more. I know you've made a lot of changes. I mean, you yourself have said that, which is really fantastic. Now, think of it this way. It feels like, and this is the way you'd feel, or you actually physically moved. So again, when I read you guys, the accuracy, can you just post back? Not for my purpose, because I know I'm accurate, but for other people who are new, going, hey, this guy is really accurate. And that way, and for those people who are been here before, it allows you to understand that there's a higher level, the matrix, if you want to call it, that really, say, controls this reality. That's the purpose. Okay, for you. What's happening is that it's literally like you've moved from your old house into a new house. Okay? But as you move into that new house, you have to get familiar with, the light switches, the rooms, and the nuances of the new house, or your new body. And that's what you're doing. And, some of the stuff that you've, say, moved or you packed and moved into the new house, you're looking at it and it's like, shit, this doesn't belong to me anymore. It's not me anymore. So that's where you are, and that's what you're looking at. So you might call it blind spots, but in reality, you're actually seeing what shouldn't be there. So at this stage in the game, you still need to, again, unpack into your new reality, and then whether it's emotional or behavior patterns or belief systems, whatever, if those don't work out, or even physical, like like your clothes, you might not like your clothes because it's like, that's not me anymore, or something that was, say, maybe precious to you in the past, it's like you look at it, it's like it has no value for you anymore. Those things you need to remove out of your space. So that's where you are now, and then you'll get clearer and clearer on a clear definition of who you are. Your body structure seems to be changing as well. You feel, I want to say, like kind of like your grandma. The rib cage and everything like that. So that starts to change for you as well. So it's your identity that's coming through, which is really fantastic. We'll go to Facebook, and this one, it says, hi Moss, I have a private session with you recently, and we worked on clearing patterns that have affected my physical health. Just wondering how I'm doing. Physical symptoms have been very intense. Yes. So again, so what's happening for you is that sometimes, when you start to see, so think of it this way, you're integrated, you're a bowl of soup. Okay. And all those ingredients that are mixed into the bowl of soup, you think that you are. Right, the diseases, and it's not just like physical patterns that you have of your lineage, but you're a little bit of everybody. It's like, for example, if you go to a party and you meet like 10 people, you'll be 10 more people added on to your identity. So what's happening now for you is that you're actually separating. So again, think of a bowl of soup with a ton of ingredients, and you know how kids, they pull out certain, like the peas or the corn or whatever that they don't like. So that's what you're doing. You're just pulling out the identity that's you, and just leaving the rest of the soup behind. Okay. And unfortunately, a lot of your identity, most of the ingredients in that soup is not you. And that's why it's really intense, because physical symptoms that you have, the pain and all that stuff that, like in the chest area, it's almost like an all over body ache, chest area, the lower back, and then down, your buttocks and all that. Those things, they're not you. They're identities of, your hereditary. So aunts, uncles, parents, whatever. So those things, as you say, separate again, your bowl of soup or integrated like this, you think it's you, and now it's like you're pulling out. And as you pull out, you're going to feel that very intense. So it's working for you. And in this mini session, just like separating it even more, so you start to see, the pain, the aches, the diseases, whatever that you have. And again, I don't see you with diseases or anything. It's somebody else's issues. So separating, so creating more distance, and you'll see that you'll start to, your facial features will change. That's how much transformation that you'll get. Your neckline. Something going on with your neck as well. Though all those things will start to change as you go. Shit, that's not me. That's not me. If you go back, many of you, not just you. By the way, if I'm working on one individual and you have similar patterns, I'll be working on you as well. Okay. So kick back, relax, take a deep breath in. So when you go back to your family, you get to see, it's like, oh shit, that pattern is like my aunt. That pattern is, my backache looks just like whatever, the curvature of the spine that people get. You'll start to see this, like, shit, that's what's happening to me. So all those patterns, again, they're not you. You have a opportunity with exponential intelligence to disconnect from that. Okay. By the way, as I read you, I'm not a doctor in any way, shape, or form, but the key is that nobody can heal you. Eastern medicine, Western medicine, no matter what they say, drugs, medication, surgeries, all those things, they can't heal you. The only thing that can heal you is your awakened self. Once you awaken, then you can have a surgery, and then you'll actually like benefit from it, or you'll take medication, and then you'll benefit from it. But most likely, you probably wouldn't need to. So, and nobody can do that. Not Eastern, Western medicine or anything like that. And that's what I do best: awaken your natural healing self. Okay. So let's go on to, where are you? This one is the Moss strain. Oh, thanks, guys. Human reset was off the charts powerful. November 18 days was even more powerful, and December 18 days are still more powerful. Please read my progress. So thank you so much. And by the way, such fantastic response that we're doing human reset, and this is going to be, say, abundance, more physical abundance. Like money and so on coming up in February. So that's going to be exciting. So look out for that. So where you are is that, in the past, just kind of scanning a little backwards in your, say, log files, which is really cool. And the reason why I mention it is that, like I read you as a computer. I was a computer programmer before. So again, I program people now. That's the only difference, rather than computers. So what's happening for you, which is really cool, is that, say that your current file system that you have, your current operating system that you have, so what's happened is that you've rewritten so much of it, which is really fantastic, that your old file system is fading away or getting stored into your log files, and that's what I'm helping you with. So basically, your old life is packaged. If you think of it as an accounting year, right? All the files and everything, accounting year comes, you do your taxes, you finalize that thing, and then, you know, that one last number basically gets carried over into the new year. Everything else, you know, gets packed away or filed away, right? So the same thing in your file system. Pretty much everything of your old life gets, say, packed away and stored somewhere else, not in your living or current identity, which is really cool. So let me explain this as I work on you and some of the other people as well, is that what'll happen to you, and it actually is to me like a neurological or like DNA genetic transformation for you, and we're getting more and more science to prove that, so which is really cool. But right now, science doesn't have the tools or the technology to actually scan my frequencies or analyze my frequencies. So it's like the footprints of the frequencies that I generate. So anyway, back to you. What's happening is that, so you will experience that. You'll go think back to your younger days, for example, whatever happened, and you'll think that that was another lifetime. That was a long time ago. It's not you. So you'll still remember those situations. They might be a little fuzzy. So all the definitions, say that, you know, you got abused, and again, you can't rewrite that because that's it's been written in time, in solid time. But how you feel about the abuse, for example, and again, I'm not saying that you've been abused. I can't even read that pattern in you. You've been ignored, basically, though. But anyway, so what's happening is that you know, you'll go back, and again, you might remember whatever happened to you in the past, but the meaning attached to it is very different, and you'll see it, and you'll heal from it, and grow and expand from it, which, say, changes the wave of time, because time is still existent. It's not solid. Only the experiences are solid. The emotions, the belief systems and all that are not solid. So it'll change how you see yourself now. So for you, things do move fast for you, and they'll even move faster. What you want to do is just, you don't want to move too fast, because you're going to move ahead of your body, because your body's in time. What that is, basically, you're ascending to a higher consciousness that is not dictated by time. So I'm actually slowing you down in this session, pulling you back, so you'll experience your body, because you have to take your body with to go beyond. All right, really nice job. So really fantastic. This one says, Moss, what will this frequency opportunity look like for me and my family going into the new year? It seems like your family, your kids. I think you've got 2 kids, maybe 3, 2.5. You have 2 kids, and maybe somebody else that you're taking care of. Anyway, 3 kids. So that in the past, you were all like separate. Do you know how, you go to a restaurant and you see a family and everybody's on their, smartphone or iPad and stuff, and nobody's talking to each other. They eat, and even while they're eating. So that kind of used to be you, but now again, you're like together. You're more interested in each other and so on. So you're connecting deeper, which is really that in itself is, it's priceless. So you get to understand yourself even deeper, and as you get closer and closer, and as a reminder, when you go into, family parties and so on, through the holidays, if they allow you, and that's, as you go into the holidays, guys, you'll see more stricter enforcement on COVID standards and stuff. It's not about the disease. It's literally about people trying to control you to break you down, right? So, so with that in mind, whether you go to see family or not, it all depends. But if you do, or you'll reminisce. Even if you don't, you'll see that you're very different, and your family icon, or the essence of your family is very different than, say, what the both of you, mom and dad, have been raised by. So with that in mind, this is where you get to look at some of the value structures of society And then this is where you get to, it's your choice. I can't make choices for you. It's your choice. And this is where you get to see structures, of other family members, your friends and so on who have kids. And you get to see that it's like, shit, I don't want to go that way. There's a better version coming up. So it's your choice on whether you see the current version of society or the newer version of society. Obviously, you'd want to pick the newer version of society, whether it's like leaving people behind and so on like that. Because if you go their way, you're going to get stuck into, again, your old patterns. So again, severe. So for you, and whether it's a family value structure or your own personal value structure, outside and within the family, you still want to, again, veer towards going towards your new self. Even if you don't know where you're going, it's better off than where you were. Okay, so always pick the new, and then from there, you get even closer. I see you taking a lot of trips, not right away, obviously, but with the family, and you get to define who you are, which is really nice. Seems like that's what you want to do, and then and then from there, yeah. You've traveled before, but to lose yourself, basically. Now you're traveling to find who you are. Okay. This is suddenly I am a new human. Can you help me stabilize this new reality I just stepped into? Miraculous abundance is now everywhere. I'm so excited to be alive. So fantastic. And again, reading not your living, say, operating system, but I'd have to go into your log files, your old life, basically, because again, there's new systems, a whole new file, your new system. And you've done a fantastic job, by the way, in a very short period of time. Or you might have been with me, and then recently, the last, say, 2 months or 3 months, it's like something happened like that, and it's like, shit, it's a brand new me. And then now it's like you've literally pulled into a whole new identity. So again, the old system, or your old files are, again, completely closed off. You've shut the door to your old life. So what that means is that, again, friends or family that want to go into your new life, they'll come along with you. And if they don't, they don't. It just is, even those individuals, Jesus or, whoever, some of those religious people, their families, used to kill them and stuff like that. So no matter who you are, you're going to have bad seeds, bad apples. So I say that because there probably are some bad apples in your family that, again, you need to separate from. It is what it is, don't feel sorry about that. It gives them a chance or an opportunity, because you're showing them that opportunity, to go forward. So fantastic, guys. So what we're going to do, yeah, so that's where you are. So what we'll do now is we'll switch over to the deep science on Moss on Sundays, where we'll talk about the brilliant mind. For Instagram, guys, it's just easier for me to shut down the system and then reboot, reset. Okay, for you. So I'm going to end this session, and then we'll start a new session. So just log back in. Okay, just give me 1 second, and then for you guys on Facebook and YouTube, and maybe we'll just phase out the Instagram and just move everything onto Facebook and YouTube. It might be easier for you. So just give me a second, guys, and then while they're being updated. There we go. All righty. So we're back, and as those people come on, we'll read more. This one is, could you please scan me and my oldest daughter, please? Sure. So for you, you're starting to see, hey guys, welcome back. So you're starting to see all the patterns, which is fantastic for you. So don't be guilty, because that's one of your patterns. There's always guilt and shame in your system, and guilt and shame have been used to use you and control you. Okay, whether it's in religion does that quite a bit, but or being a nice person frequency, right? They guilt and shame you into being a nice person. That's not really a nice person, by the way, because it destroys that person, because the truth never comes out. And that's why it's not good. There's a better version of that with exponential intelligence. But anyway, guilt and shame and being a nice person, basically, that has been used to control you in your life. And now you're pulling away from that. So you're pulling away from, say, a feminine frequency that controls you, like your mom or your grandmother. Your dad could be, a feminine frequency as well. So I'd call it a feminine frequency. So that pattern is like coming out of you. So you're starting to see, it's like, shit, I didn't need that. And now you're using guilt and shame to go, God, why was I like that? I'm not going to be like that anymore. So you're using it in the perfect manner, which is really fantastic. But now you're seeing what your daughter has inherited from you. So, and again, it might be sad, or you might feel guilty on what you say passed down, and that's why this is important. What you might have passed down to her. But the good thing is that now, again, it's not your fault. Just like, the way your mom and dad, it wasn't really their fault. It just is on what happened. They passed it down to you, hereditary wise, and so on. You're passed it down onto your daughter. So use guilt and shame properly. Okay, guilt, shame, maybe a little bit of fear, but it's mostly guilt and shame. You have a fear of not being a good person, so that's going to come out of you as well. So so don't worry about being a good person, because most people who think they're good, they're not really that good, right? They're very so don't want to get into that. But coming back to you, so you might do actions that might feel selfish to you and all that. So take advantage of that, because you are reclaiming yourself, and then you'll be a good person from a higher level moral standard. And use guilt and shame again as you look at your daughter and see, because you go, shit, what have I done to my daughter, right? So again, that's a great opportunity for several reasons. It allows you, because there's still time for her to recoup and learn from those experiences, which is fantastic. Most mothers or most people don't ever wake up. Society doesn't wake up. So again, you're far ahead of the crowd. The less than 1% of the 1%, basically, that have awakened to go, shit, what have I done to my kid? And that now, as you analyze her stuff, that's basically the patterns that is in you. And as you say disconnect from it, it disconnects from your daughter as well. So really, really nice job. Really fantastic. So good job. Let's go to Moss on Sunday is the deep science. Just give me a second. We're talking about brilliant minds. So let me just pull up my notes, guys, on brilliant minds. And it's really interesting that when I was, researching this subject a little bit on brilliant minds, it was fantastic. Some of the tags and so on Genius. Okay. And some of the tags on like brilliant minds and Genius was, autism, Asperger's, and things of that nature. Again, so illnesses tagged along with Genius. So we're going to take a look into that, because a genius or somebody who has a brilliant mind, they are a little off, right? They're not, say, you're normal. They're not connected. If you've lived with a genius, or a brilliant mind, you see that they're very different. You'll see that they're, very difficult to live with. It doesn't have to be that way, and I'll explain why that is. And then later on, we'll do a deep dive meditation. Again, it's far deeper than a normal meditation. For those who are new, it's literally a rewiring session of your genome to help you, say, connect into that consciousness. So we'll go into the reasons on, say, why autism or Asperger's or, say, Genius people are hard to live with. because there is a science value on that. And then the one key factor that makes brilliant minds, brilliant. Okay, we'll talk about that, and then we'll harness the power of genius and apply the secrets through a deep dive meditation. Again, that meditation about rewiring your genome so you can actually access the higher versions of who you are. Okay? So let's talk about brilliant minds and why they are hard to, say, live with. Okay. And when I talk about brilliant minds or geniuses, it could be an evil genius. I'm not just talking about, say, sages. So it could be, Hitler. It could be, I don't know, whoever, the deep state, who controls the families that control this world. I don't want to call them the elites because they're not so elite. But those types of individuals. It could be a corporate individual. And by the way, Brilliant Minds is going to be a series on the lecture series, and we're going to go deeper into, say a Bill Gates, and dissect how he operates, and then use the parts of that's good about how he sees things, into you. So that's the lecture series coming up on Brilliant Minds. So what happens is why is Asperger's, autism, and some of those other quirky things that happen to people who are brilliant, or people who have a near-death experience, and then they become a savant, or they become really good with numbers, or they can pick up a language like that, or they're musically enhanced and so on like that. So what does that happen? Is there a chemical structure in their brain that shifts? Not necessarily a chemical structure, but it's the consciousness. So the one key factor that makes brilliant minds is that they live in another consciousness. Okay, and that's also the exact same factor that destroys relationships, or they become autistic. They can't render their body properly. So for example, that you are in this bubble, and most people run in this bubble. Okay, brilliant minds, those individuals who are those are individuals who are 24/7 in that brilliant state. They exist, their body exists in this reality, but they actually entertain themselves, or they hold on to their spirit in another consciousness. So in that consciousness, so you're here, okay, they're here. Most humans are here, they're above it all. Okay, and that's why they're brilliant. They can actually see how this consciousness works. That's the key. And that's the key that you want to understand. It's not about, more brain power, because, scientists, they measure the size of the brain, the weight of the brain. In fact, Einstein, they wanted to study his brain, for science and so on like that. And, we do all these physical things. It's not anything to do with physical things. You're studying the instrument. I mean, there could be a little difference just because they use their brain different. But again, for the most part, it's what that physical thing, your brain, is tuned into, what frequency is tuned into. So for example, say that your brain was a radio, okay, or a receiver, a radio, okay, a two-way communication channel, right? And then people will just study the radio, but they don't study the frequency that they were tuned into. That's the difference, right? If you're it's just hey, somebody's playing great music and they're dancing beautifully to this music and all that, and you're going, God, I want to study that radio. It's not the radio, like I said, it's the station that they're tuned into. So although the radio, or that that person is in this reality, they're tuned into another reality. And that's why if you look at those people who are brilliant, no matter where they are, no matter what they're doing, I would say no matter what they're doing, for the most part, is that, and I'll just talk about that in a second, for the most part, you can see them that they're disconnected. They're not here because their consciousness is literally not here. Their body is a satellite. right? For you all, your body is integrated for the most part. It's a little off, and that's why you have the issues that you have. But for the most part, again, your higher self knows where your body is represented here. Right? For them, it is a satellite system. Most of their consciousness, they exist in another reality or another consciousness, again, another higher bubble, and they can look down, and that's why they're genius. And if you've ever heard that quote, it's been said that genius is looking at ordinary life through a different lens. That's the different lens that they see. That's the different lens that they talk about when they say that. So the key is that those geniuses and what happens is that they start getting attuned more to the consciousness, because that consciousness is lighter, it's freer, it's more dynamic than, say, the time bound, the density of this reality. So the more they use that, right, the more accolades that they get, their identity falls on that consciousness. So over time, what happens is that they start living from that consciousness even more. So again, they get really disoriented or distorted physically here. If you look at Tesla, the way his mental stability or instability accentuated as he got older. It's not because he got older, that his brain system went down. It's just that his consciousness literally slipped out of him. So it's kind of like it's like a death, a living death. They slip out, they live, and their body starts to degrade. Their mental focus starts to degrade. So through his later years, again, a lot of mental instability, a lot of fear, and so on. Fear comes in because you get to see that your body is in this time frame disconnected from things, and it's osmosis. If you're not, say, holding on to your identity or body, osmosis, something else has to, because it has to equalize. Okay, many of you experience that at just the lower levels. Elon Musk, I'm going to show you on the lecture series how Elon Musk can run I don't know, I don't know how many companies he's got brilliantly. Over time, again, he won't be able to function as efficiently as he is now, and how he operates. So he does it differently. He doesn't go into one consciousness. He goes into, say, he has capacity of like 12 different, say, consciousness. So literally, and if you look at Elon Musk, if you've seen him on interview questions and so on interviews, somebody will ask him a question and then he'll take a moment to read it, because he actually has to go in to go, and he's very good at that. And again, the details is on the lecture series. He's very good at it, but basically it's like somebody asks him a question, he understands it, and then it's like, okay, which reality did I say that, or which reality holds the answer, and then he'll plug into that consciousness or reality, pull it in. Right. So again, most people are here. He's here. Elon is he's aware that he's here, and he can go into different aspects of reality and be that person. But when you operate from, say, 10, 12 different realities, a lot of people would have, say, mental instability on that. But again, Elon's figured out a way to stabilize it, and I'll tell you his secret on the lecture series. So for him, for example, it's an amazing process to hold on to that many identities. So imagine having 10 or 12 different personalities. Many of you can't even handle like one or two personalities. So he does it really efficiently. So he can do the work of, say, 10 people. Because he's operating all those consciousness, and work actually comes from a higher level consciousness, not this physical reality. So those geniuses actually have a way of, say, manufacturing or manifesting or materializing things in this reality. So although they might do a lot of work, and they do, again, Elon, fantastic. I'm not cutting anybody down though, but I'm just telling you how they work, okay? And actually maybe later on helping him to be more efficient with it, so he doesn't have to kind of get derailed as he ages, because it takes a lot of energy and power to hold on to 10, 12 different realities and see them clearly, right? And that's the key. So XI does it another way, right? And I'll show you that in just a few minutes. So that's the way Elon works. Other individuals, they literally, again, individuals who are more normal, let's say, a lot of inventors and so on that are also business people. The reason why a lot of, say, brilliant minds, they aren't, say, fantastic business people is because when they're in a consciousness, human consciousness here, but they exist here, they just can't connect to anybody. They're more of a loner. Again, they don't associate with people. So it's pretty hard to be, say, a business person. So that individual would obviously need somebody to be on the business side. But for those individuals who are really good at business and then great inventors and so on like that, and that's why the two most often don't mix, by the way. That great inventor is not necessarily the greatest business person, and that's why. And if they are, they actually suffer later on, and their business starts to, say, kill them, literally, because they have to stay in this reality, which they prefer the other reality, because again, it's more efficient, more dynamic, and all the bullshit that happens in this consciousness doesn't happen in that reality. Not because they're removed from it, it's just that consciousness does not hold on to distortion. So you can't even run distortions or abuse patterns or control mechanisms. That's why. By the way, that's what we're all going into as the world, and not just humans, but Earth and so on. It's moving up to a consciousness where control and abuse and so on just can't exist. You can't access it. Okay. Those programs, and I'm kind of veering off, those programs like abuse, control, victimization, lack, and so on, those are literally just programs. So we have to understand it. So in this consciousness, these types of programs exist. Okay. Say, for example, that you're in a house and it has something, right, that you're using, a tool that you're using, because that's the only tool that's there, whatever it might be. And then you move to another house, right? And then that tool isn't there. So you can't use that tool anymore, right? It's the same thing with consciousness. When we all rise to a different level of consciousness, you can't abuse people. You can't destroy people. You can't, sacrifice yourself or anything like that, because that tool doesn't exist, or that program doesn't exist. So back to those individuals, and that's a side note, back to those individuals who are, again, great inventors, and really good business people, is that they merge. So they transition. It's not one or the other. They smoothly go in and out of each other. So they can extend out to that reality and come back in. But again, over time, they'll always prefer the higher reality, the higher consciousness, because it's more fluid, more dynamic, more expansive as a being. And many of you who have practiced XI, basically, you don't float into that other consciousness. And this is the key, and that's what I want to get into, say, that deep meditation. What XI does is that, and I'll say it one more time. So most great inventors, or most genius level individual, they're born in this reality, but somehow they operate from another reality, another consciousness. Okay. And again, it's distorting. What XI does is that, hey, you're born in this reality. Your identity is in this reality. You render your body here. Okay, in this reality. But XI, what happens is that you start to expand into that consciousness. You don't move anymore. You don't go from point A to point B. Okay, so point A, say, is, if you had a sphere around you, right, and it went from point A to, say, A to let's use another point other than B. So what people do, again, just to reiterate, so you're point A, okay? They expand into, say, point M. Okay? So they go from point A, they leave their identity here, they go to point M to get that consciousness. And a lot of times they stay there, and that's why their facial structure, autistic people and so on, in that reality, the facial structure gets distorted because you're living two realities at the same time. And that's why, again, facial structures of, say, genius people, like super genius people and so on, they're different. That's the reason why. Right? So anyway, point A, point M. What exponential intelligence does is that you're in point A. You don't disconnect from point A to go to point M. What you do is you expand yourself, and then you cover point M. So your sphere, imagine your sphere doesn't go from point A to point M. Your sphere basically goes from point A and it expands to include, say, the reality of point M, which is a huge difference, because when you come back, and I help a lot of companies, by the way, get to the next, like research and development, rather than taking like 6-7 years for research and development, you bring it down to, say, 2-3 months. That's the way I do it. So what happens is that as you expand, you not only, say, cover or are in the point M, but then all the other possibilities that are available to you, which becomes more robust, because point M might be great as far as a consciousness, but again, if you expand, think of all the other, say, possibilities that could be better than point M, which is really cool. And it doesn't distort you, because when you come back, you're more of a living being. You've defined yourself in time more, and that you resonate. And then over time, well, those individuals, and many of you are experiencing it as well. Do you notice that people look at you, it's like, shit, I want to be like them, or what are you doing? To change, that's the reason why, because you've expanded. And again, you're not at genius level, or getting there though, because you'd have to expand into the higher levels of consciousness and still stabilize yourself here. But what happens is that over time, you bring the brilliance of what's out there into, say, a more focused position here in this reality. So you contain all the knowledge of what's out there here. And that's basically what I do. And many of you who are awakening, those geniuses, basically, they leave their identity and go there. And again, after a while, when you're younger, you can control, you can physically handle it. But when you get older, it starts to really destroy you. Look at Jordan Peterson, right? A famous individual, really, say, went up the charts. His story is a little different. Jordan, really sick, really ill. Obviously, whatever frequency that he's, say, tapping into, to say, and it might be good knowledge. It's very restrictive knowledge, the way he teaches and so on like that. And you can see it in his frequencies that he has, and now he's ill. So people might go, well, it's because he has a disease and so on like that. Not necessarily. You'll see that basically he got pulled into, say, another consciousness where he got downloaded that knowledge, but then that consciousness doesn't do well with his body mechanism. Hence, you would get some kind of rare illness or something like that. So those are all, the distortions of being a genius. So how do you do it right? Again, the XI way, where you expand into that self, that grander self, and then come back and center yourself even more. So we're going to do that. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. Again, just noticing where you are, noticing, say, the space around you, noticing you in your space. And if you're new, welcome. If you've been here before, again, welcome. We can even take you deeper, farther. There you go. As I analyze the group, as I have been, and some of you might be feeling a little different, right? And by different, either good or uncomfortable, it doesn't matter which way. Again, different than your normal self. That's because if you're feeling uncomfortable, it's not me. It's basically you're letting go. You're shedding away the garbage that's with you. Right? That's been with you all this time. You're separating, again, expanding or moving into a higher consciousness and separating your lower level consciousness. Simple as that. So again, if you're feeling uncomfortable or starting to question me, because I'm sensing some of you are, especially the new people, again, the questioning and so on, look at it. If you're running, say, insecure patterns, you'll start to question me. If you're running, say, I don't trust that guy pattern. Look at the patterns of your life and look at all the experiences that people have, say, not trusted you, or you haven't trusted people, and what's happening is, again, you're pushing that onto me as you separate. So I'm different, by the way, because I force you to see things. I don't take that on. So again, that pattern of you, say, not trusting in this example is literally, say, separating from you, and you're seeing that pattern as it leaves, and you're pushing that on me. But again, just analyze that, non-trust thing happened to you before. Or you might feel like, God, this guy's abusive and all that stuff. Again, look at your pattern. You've most likely been abused and so on, right? Does that make sense to you? So that's coming in. So that's how powerful it is. Again, it's not me. It's basically your patterns, like moving away from you. So let's take a deep breath in again. We'll start over again. You get a lot of new people, so and just notice your chest. And then notice, spatial referencing. Say the couch or the window or the door, whatever it might be. 2 or 3 points, from the outside. Say notice where the couch is, and then compare to where your chest is, your ribs. Be specific. Notice, say, the chair or the wall or the doorway compared to where the tip of your nose is. That might sound rudimentary, but do it. And you'll see that you'll start to focus. It's not about the couch and so on, but it allows you to focus, and it allows you to see where you are in space-time. That's the key. Not necessarily in the room, but in space-time. So it's like calibrating yourself with your timeless self and then your time-bound self. Okay? That's why we sleep, by the way, to recalibrate. Take a deep breath in again. Again, inhaling through the nose, belly breathing, so expanding your belly and into the chest. There we go. And again, notice how you start to become or feel more present, even now. It's not psychology or hypnosis or anything like that. You're just being aware of how you render yourself. Not who you think you are, but how you render yourself. Here, if you don't understand it, that's totally fine. Breath in again. So we'll connect you to the higher level of the group, the mastermind, as I call it. And then also how genius works. Again, genius is just seeing this consciousness from a higher level. Simple as that. So we'll bring in, say, that consciousness or that frequency that allows you to expand time and space. The key word is expanding time and space. Most geniuses displace themselves. Okay? Remember that. We want to do it right. Breath in again. Just asking ourselves, well, how can I become my limitless self even more? So that's assuming that you know that you're already limitless, because if you're here and you're alive, you have that potential to, again, be of your higher self. Some of you are spiritual, your spirit body. I call it your timeless self or your limitless self or your present self. So notice what's going on with you. Notice that, say, you're more contained. Even your mind is settled and you are yourself. Right? You're more present with your body, right? And we'll do some experiments. On the way most brilliant minds do it. There we go. I'm not going to say anything. I'll just take a quiet moment. All you have to do is pay attention to yourself. Again, strong deep breath in. By the way, I'm just editing how you render yourself. So notice how you feel. Yeah, just take you into yeah. So let's take you into, say, the consciousness that Tesla uh, connected to. Is that okay? Yeah. Again, notice how you feel. Some of you might not be able to get there just because it's where you compared to where you are. It's too much of a leap, so it might get disorienting for you. It's a pretty high level consciousness, obviously. So maybe I should have picked somebody lower. But for those who can stay in that space, I'll support you there. For those, it's just too big of a leap. Let's just take you to a different level of brilliance. Okay, so I'm not saying you're dumb or anything like that. I'm just saying that you've got too much baggage because you have to take your current identity to that level. So it's just too heavy. So for those lower level of brilliance. So I call this for companies and inventors and even like athletes or high performers. You know, they've tapped into a pure consciousness of their sport or their field. And what I do is I leapfrog. So I connect to their consciousness and then push them to the next level. And that's where they have the amazing transformations and new ideas, new concepts, or even better performance in athletics, or entertainment or whatever their gifts, whatever they might be. There we go. So notice how you feel. I know it feels really cool, right? Things are more clear. Think of a problem that you have. Are you finding, say, different solutions to it? It's not just a feeling. Right? You're actually seeing. I know a lot of you. It's like, oh shit, that's what's really happening. Right? Again, that's genius level for you. This is just a taste. Obviously, it's your job to stay at those levels. But let's take a deep breath in, pull you back in. Do you see how you want to be in that higher space when you come back down to your space? That's what happens. That's what I was saying. It distorts you. So, let's do it the XI way. Again, I'm not going to plant seeds or it's not hypnosis, but take a deep breath in. Notice how you feel. like an expansive state. You've reached, say, that level, but again, in a spherical expansion. Notice how that feels. It feels grander, doesn't it? And that piece of, say, knowledge, although it was really cool for you, it's even more expansive because there's other aspects of it. So for those who can go into, say, the Tesla level, let's expand you out there. For those who can't, you can just stay at this level, or you can go higher if you'd like, which you can stop at any level. I'm just showing you two, say, stop points. So breath in again. Can you, do you notice, for those people who reach the Tesla level, it's more of an expansive, more brilliant space. Just stay in the space for a bit. For some of you who didn't go into it, it's just because you've got too much baggage. So what you're probably doing is like, I'm not good enough. This doesn't work. So all the patterns that have helped, that have held you down, that's coming out for you. Right? So my suggestion to you is look at the patterns, don't operate for them. So if you're running the pattern of not being good enough and it's showing up for you, or I'm too dumb or too whatever, it's a pattern that you have that needs to get deleted. Right? So maybe we're fearful. It's like, if I go expand into those realities, I'm going to have to face all the insecurities that I have. So be aware of those patterns, right? But let's jump back into the most of us here. And then as we take a deep breath in and on the exhale, and notice it wasn't hypnosis, it wasn't suggestion, and I didn't get you into a rah-rah state of, excitement and all that. It's just playing around with time and space and how you render yourself here, how you render your consciousness. But as you come into this time, you notice that you're more complete. You're not missing being there. You just note that it's part of you. That's the difference, right? So the more you expand out into that space, and then you come back in, you bring more of that space home with you. So you become that identity here, and that's what you want. So that's the difference. As a note, as I was picking up, a lot of you might have kids that are genius level, but you don't know how to handle them. And then unfortunately, it's like they give, you go to a psychologist or a doctor and they give the poor kids drugs and so on like that. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not saying not to take the drugs or anything like that. But the drugs mess them up even more. They might calm them down and all that. So if you have a genius kid, I would suggest doing a session, or if you are a genius and you want to go to the next level for you or your company, again, do a session. If this intrigues you, especially for the kids, it's not a mental function. So drugs and therapies and so on, psychology is a mental function. This is time and space function. It's how you render. So it goes deeper than your current, say, physical state or your brain state. So for those types of kids, again, I can help bring them in and understand time and space, so they understand how and where they are. And once they understand that, They can still be at that genius level, but they don't have to get distorted or destroyed or get really fearful, right? Because there's a lot of fear when you escape your body. A lot of those kids, they can't help but escape their body. They don't know how to, come into this space. So instead of trying all those therapies that take decades, if ever, to work, and they never do, because it's a band-aid, I could literally, maybe like in one session, one 10-minute session, help that child like hone in. And it's not that it's a theory I have for thousands and thousands of kids and adults as well. So hope you enjoyed it, guys. Again, spread the word. Really fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. Look out for next Sunday, Moss on Sundays. I haven't quite picked the title yet. So if you have any ideas, send them in to customers with an S at Sajady.com if there's a topic that you want to discuss. So this one says that my father is a genius. I would say autistic. His artwork is extraordinary. Exactly. And again, autistic and don't do well with people. So you can be a genius. You can have fantastic abilities, whether you're an entertainer, an artist, a scientist, or anything in between, and still be, say, complete enough to understand this reality. And that's where you really help, say, this reality. I know artwork is fantastic, right? You look at it, but basically when you look at artwork, or a science invention, like whatever it might be, like a smartphone or whatever, that came from a genius that was distorted. Well, that invention or from that artwork, you get, say, sucked into that consciousness to see it. So what you want to do is, be a complete self, be a complete individual. And then when you create artwork, you're actually pulling people into, say, that grander version, or your music or whatever it might be. Again, it's your grander version coming through you. All right. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. Thank you so much. Highly recommend subscribing to my YouTube channel for a lot of benefits, so we can do more and more free content for you. All right, guys. As we end, notice what you notice, and then notice all the details of what you're noticing. All right. Take care.